If you're a pet owner, you know the feeling, right? That constant scratching, the endless cleaning, and that sinking feeling that you are just losing the war on fleas. Well, what if I told you you've been fighting the wrong enemy this whole time? Today, we're handing you the strategic battle plan you need for total victory. This is the question that drives us all crazy. You do everything you're supposed to, you treat your pet, you vacuum until your arm feels like it's gonna fall off, and then a week later, they're back. It feels like this frustrating, endless cycle. But listen, you haven't failed. The truth is, you've been fighting an enemy you can't even see. This slide right here, this is the absolute key to winning. Those adult fleas you spot on your pet, the ones you're trying to kill, they are just the tiny tip of the iceberg. They make up only 5% of the total flea population in your home. The real army, the other 95%, is totally invisible, hiding as eggs, larvae, and pupae deep in your carpets, your furniture, even your bedding. You're not just fighting a few fleas, you're fighting a full-scale, hidden invasion. So if we're gonna win this thing, we have to understand the full scale of this invasion. It's time to become flea detectives and learn how to spot the clues the enemy leaves behind. Have you ever seen these little black specks in your pet's fur and just brush them off thinking, oh, it's just dirt? Well, it's time to take a much closer look. This stuff is called flea dirt, which is, a pretty polite term for flea feces. And since it's basically digested blood, seeing this is a dead giveaway you have an active flea population, even if you haven't laid eyes on a single flea. And you can prove it's flea dirt with this super simple test. Just comb some of those specks onto a damp white paper towel and press down on them. If they smear into a reddish-brown stain, yep, the color of dried blood, that's your proof. You've just found hard evidence of the enemy's presence in your home. Okay, so this brings us to the enemy's most powerful secret weapon, the dormant flea. When a flea larva spins its cocoon, it enters what's called the pupal stage. And that cocoon, it's like a tiny, armored bunker. It's incredibly resistant to vacuums, sprays, and most insecticides. These things can just sit there, waiting for months, sometimes even up to a whole year, creating a literal ticking time bomb in your house. And this slide really shows why that dormant stage is so maddening. After the egg and larval stages, the flea goes into its little cocoon. And that's where the timeline goes wild. They can wait for weeks or a year for a trigger, like the heat, vibration, or carbon dioxide from you or your pet just walking by. As soon as they sense that, bam, they emerge as hungry adults, and the whole nightmare starts all over again. This is exactly why you can treat your house, think you're totally in the clear, and then a new wave of fleas just appears out of nowhere. Now that we understand the enemy's life cycle, it's time to talk strategy. And a critical part of any good strategy is knowing what not to do. So let's take a minute to debunk a really common and pretty dangerous myth. You've probably seen this online. Just use bleach. Let's be perfectly clear about this. It is a terrible, terrible idea. Sure, bleach will kill an adult flea if you manage to hit it directly, but it does absolutely nothing to the eggs, the larvae, and especially those tough-as-nails pupae hiding in your carpet. And even more importantly, it is highly toxic to your pets and your family, and it can completely ruin your floors and furniture. Vet-approved products, on the other hand, are designed to do exactly what bleach can't, safely break that entire life cycle. And hey, don't just take my word for it. As the WoolSafe organization points out, bleach residue doesn't just go away, it stays active. If your pet walks over it with wet paws, they could get chemical burns. If a child is playing on that carpet, they're being exposed. It is just not worth the risk for a solution that doesn't even fix the real problem. Okay, enough about what not to do. Let's get into our real strategy. The very first front in this war is your pet. They are the flea's food source and their transportation. So we need to turn them from a victim into a walking flea-killing machine. Modern flea treatments use this really smart two-pronged attack. First, you have an adulticide, which, you guessed it, kills the adult fleas. But the real game changer is the second part, an insect growth regulator, or IGR. You can basically think of it as flea birth control. It stops the eggs from ever hatching and prevents the larvae from growing up. This is how you truly break the cycle. Now, as you can see, there are a bunch of options out there, and the best one really just depends on your situation. For instance, a product like Advantage 2 is super fast-acting, and you can get it over the counter. But a prescription option like Revolution offers much broader protection against other nasty things like ticks and heartworm. The most important thing is that you talk to your vet and choose a product that has both that adult killer and that growth regulator, the IGR, to really break the cycle. So you've armed your pet. Job done, right? Nope. Remember that infestation pyramid? 95% of the problem is still living in your home. Treating your pet is just the critical first step. Now, it's time to launch a full-scale assault on the home front. This is the official 4-step eradication process from the CDC. Just think of it as your coordinated attack plan. Step 1, sanitation. Vacuum everywhere, wash all bedding, everything in hot water. Step 2, treat every single pet in your home at the exact same time. Step 3, treat your home and your yard, especially those shady spots where fleas love to hang out. And step 4, this is crucial, follow-up. This is a sustained campaign, not a one-and-done battle. And this is maybe the most important thing to understand. Because of those dormant pupae just waiting to hatch, a real infestation is going to take, on average, at least 3 months to completely get rid of. You have to be consistent. Treat your pet every single month, right on schedule. Keep vacuuming. Do not give up after a few weeks just because things seem a little better. 3 months, that's your target for victory. So you've followed the plan. The enemy forces are finally in retreat. You're seeing fewer and fewer fleas. Now we need to shift our strategy from active combat to peacekeeping. Let's talk about how to secure your home for the long haul. Securing that victory means you gotta stay vigilant. Keep every pet on a year-round, vet-approved preventative. That's not negotiable. Keep vacuuming frequently. The vibrations can actually trick those dormant pupae into hatching, which then exposes them to the treatment on your pet. Keep washing bedding in hot water. And here's a pro tip. If you can keep the humidity in your home below 50%, flea eggs and larvae literally can't survive. A dehumidifier can be a really powerful, non-chemical weapon in your arsenal. So let's end with this. You've won the battle. You've cleared the active infestation. But you now know there could still be dormant time bombs just waiting in the deepest parts of your home. The only way to win the long war is through relentless, consistent prevention. By keeping your pet treated all year round, you guarantee that any new flea that dares to hatch will die before it can ever lay a single egg, finally breaking that vicious cycle for good.